Following the Ellis Park disaster and commission of inquiry, the following recommendations were made. Now, if you want the full recommendation list, I suggest you just go look up the report. But what I'll be doing right now is just summarize like the main recommendations that led to reforms in like footballing culture as a whole, like stadium practices and security protocols and crowd control measures. So, firstly, the Commission recommended the enforcement of safety and security, that it should be done by professionals. Clubs use and train their own stewards. Point 3, members of security personnel and other staff should be easily distinguishable in invisible uniform. Point 4, the subcontracting of fewer security companies to ensure coordination. Point 5, that games must be categorized according to a clearly defined risk profile. Point 6, proper planning. Point 7, the rehearsal of safety and security plans along with briefing security personnel and stewards. Point 8, proper traffic control. And as I'm saying these things, you'll see them as like they've been implemented. Like, for example, if you go to a game day nowadays, most of these things like proper traffic control, you'd find that some streets are cordoned off to ensure the flow of traffic. Security personnel are easily visible, and stewards are there, that sort of thing. But continuing on with the recommendations, the collaboration and consultation with public transport providers. This is in an effort to avoid traffic congestion, that people should utilize public transportation more than private vehicles, which I understand their point of view, but like if you look at it from a perspective that the public transportation industry, that's a mess in its own, and people would rather prefer the comfort of their own travel, you get me? That one is still going to be a bit difficult, but it still works from time to time. Another point, the minimizing of traffic congestion and provision of adequate parking, which goes along with the proper traffic control. The installation of perimeter fencing. This one's a no-brainer, of course. The number of entrances should match the capacity of the stadium. Secure channeling at all entry points. You'll see nowadays when you enter stadiums, there are turnstiles there. And like, that is to ensure the flow is like proper. Plus there are stewards at the gates, to ensure like people aren't going in like multiple at a time, Counting devices that can help identify if stadiums are reaching capacity. The timiest opening of gates. The elimination of bottleneck points or choke points. As you see nowadays in stadium designs, the hallways are much more narrower. Like it would begin being narrow and then like it would open up to being wide, like avoiding that bottleneck, Effective ticket design, including seating number and entrance information. Nowadays you buy your ticket, it has your seat number, it has the gate, it has the stand, like east stand or blah blah blah, that sort of thing. Essential information provided about emergency exits, paths, and contact numbers. Once again, when you're walking around the stadium, most signs are visible that show like evacuation points and emergency exit points and like just points like in case of disaster, you should meet up here, for example, or you should use this gate in case of emergency, that sort of thing. The establishment of an operations center at every stadium, the proper monitoring of crowds, pre-sale of tickets, that one's a no-brainer, the implementation of reserved seating, 5 to 10% reduction in capacity with regards to ticket sales, which makes sense, of course. A working relationship with media to announce matters concerning games, adequate public announcing systems, a big screen, the keeping of records and the recording of events at stadiums, the banning of weapons and illegal items. This goes back to the Oppenheimer Stadium disaster, where it was found that like some fans came in with knives and weapons of that sort. Body searches, adherency to FIFA and SAFA guidelines, this meaning like the games don't start unless the situation in the stadium and outside the stadium is under control. The founding of a safety committee, better fixture scheduling, the certification of stadiums for games, and stewards and security personnel having the authority to remove spectators. As I said, this is just like some of the recommendations made in the report. But as I said, this played a big part, in reshaping SA football going forward, culminating in, if I remember correctly, the Safety at Sports and Recreational Events Act of 2009, which was implemented 1 year before the 2010 World Cup.